Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is G. Cole, and welcome to Homegrown, where I get to share with you some good music while talking to some great people. Hello world, I hope you're feeling as good as I am. I want to big up all my homegrown listeners and welcome all the new listeners. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so we can keep you updated when new material is available. We will be posting new episodes bi-weekly. Want to thank everyone who has been listening and sharing. Please leave us a comment, we'd love to hear from you. Please check out the website homegrownwithgcole.com to listen and for all things homegrown. The podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Radio.com, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast, we're there. We're very, very interactive. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at MyGCole. The video of this interview is also available on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is episode 165, and once again, I'm coming to you live from the beautiful island of Antigua and Barbuda. And the legendary conversation continues, ladies and gentlemen. Today's special guest, another West Indies cricket legend, former West Indies captain, batsman extraordinaire. I'm telling you, I'm talking about the legendary one and only Mr. Richie Richardson. We are coming to you live and direct from the Wavy Wicket right here at the Veranda Resort and Spa in Antigua. Beautiful, 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 man. Today's episode comes to you courtesy of Elite Island Resorts. Check them out at eliteislandresorts.com. This is, again, episode 165. Special guest, Mr. Richie Richardson. And again, the journey, the legends, the conversations, and a beautiful location continues. And right now I'm going to be talking with, again, let me take my moment to brag and show off because I have no shame in my game. This is what I do. Mm-hmm. All right, to my father, my uncle, everybody who have fronted on me in the past. Today, I am talking with the legendary Mr. Richie Richardson. And all I got to say is, like Kanye said, my life is dope and I do dope things. All right? And you do not. So,
well, nice to meet you. And I'm going to give you a new name. I'm going to call you the G. The G man.
I appreciate that. See? Legendary stuff. And that's what I'll be using from here forward.
The G man.
Because my life is dope. I do dope stuff. Welcome to the show, sir. Welcome. You know, this wasn't in what I was going to ask you before, but I sat here and I observed, and as we were here talking, I'm like, I wonder how difficult it is for you to get out of your vehicle and get from point A to point B where you need to go, even though point B is 1 minute away, right? But how difficult is it to get from point A to point B in a timely manner, how you want to get there?
We're here in Antigua and Barbuda?
Probably in Antigua, yes.
Well, it's actually very easy, you know. Antigua is a very small place, and everybody knows you, right?
Right.
They're not going to really stop you and ask you for an autograph or a picture. They'll just say, hi, Rich, how are you doing? And move on. So it's actually pretty easy to move around Antigua and Barbuda. And even though people recognize me and recognize us, they just feel good about seeing us. They smile on their faces and they move on. So it's not a situation where we feel that we're going to be pestered or be held back or be mobbed or stuff like that. Everybody just happy to see us and a little big up, a little wave,
show some love.
Yeah, man, and we're on our way.
I love that. I always ask of those people, those special people who have done special things. You are an inspiration and have been an inspiration to many. Right, many people are coming up right now, the ranks being great athletes, cricketers, ambassadors to the nation. You've inspired them. Who inspired you?
Well, of course, I've got to mention the great Sir Vivian Richards and also Sir Andy Roberts. But before they actually played for the West Indies, I was inspired by great players like Sir Garfield Sobers, Wes Hall, Charlie Griffith, Rohan Kanhai, all these guys who played in that era when I was a young boy growing up in the village of Five Islands. And I can recall one day my mom sent me on a little tour and the West Indies were playing against Australia and everybody in the village was glued to the 2 or 3 transistor radios that was in the village at the time.
Right.
And everybody was just so excited and calling the names of Sobers, Hall, and Griffith, and all these guys. And I said to myself, these guys must be doing something great for the country, for people to stop doing what they're doing, and to be listening to a transistor radio, and to be so excited about what these guys are doing. And I said to myself, I would love to be like these guys one day.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm a lucky guy.
Hey.
Thanks.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
And we talk about the journey for most. Like I was talking to Sir Curtly yesterday, and as great as he is, he said he didn't start as young as most, right? When did your journey, or how young did your journey into this cricket game begin?
Well, it started shortly after what I just mentioned. When I was about maybe 7 or 8, that's when I realized that I've got to start this journey.
Right.
And I started looking at the game differently. I used to play like every other boy in the village. We used to play in the streets, the pasture, wherever we got a chance to play. We would improvise. We'd get milk cans to make a ball, a piece of wood from the fence to make a bat, and we would play and play for fun.
Right.
But after that moment, I started taking it seriously. I started thinking about the game even more seriously and started working harder. And one of the things I thought of then was that if I wanted to become good, I would have to try and compete with the men, or the people who are better than me. And then I started trying to find the opportunity to play with the bigger men. I didn't always get the opportunity. Whenever I got the opportunity, I would go out there and try to impress them, because I told myself, if I can at least hold my own against the best in the village or against the men, it means that I am making headways.
Nice. And that's an amazing strategy. You see a lot of, successful athletes employing that kind of strategy. Let me go against the bigger and the stronger, and the best, and that way to bring out the best in me.
Yeah.
We talk about relationships, and oftentimes I don't get an opportunity to sit with everybody. But let me ask you this. Be my eyes, my ears. Talk to me a little bit about Andy Roberts.
Great guy. When I first, I met him briefly before I actually played for the West Indies. But when I really got a chance to know him was when I was selected for the West Indies in 1983. That was my first tour to India. He was there, and that was his last tour. And we got very, very close. And he actually nurtured me and took me into his arms and gave me a hell of a lot of advice, which stays with me up to today.
Right.
And you might not see me every day with him when I'm in Antigua, or we don't really see a lot of each other. But whenever we're together, the closeness is there.
Right.
And I thank him very much for what he did for me in the early parts of my career. Because when you just start, when you just join an international team, it's not easy as a youngster.
Right.
You need someone to guide you and to tell you what's right, what's wrong, what you need to do, and stuff like that. And he was always there for me.
And you're a top tier cricketer now, going along your journey. Being an athlete and a successful athlete takes a lot. You're going through a lot mentally. Just focus on you and your craft. But then you're now thrusted into being the captain of the West Indies team. And I'm sure that comes with its own set. Talk to me a little bit about transitioning to the captaincy.
Well, massive responsibility. Throughout my career, I never really thought of becoming a captain. I just wanted to play and do well, whether it's bowling, batting, or fielding.
Right.
And so I became the captain of the Leeward Islands by default. So Viv had gotten injured during the first game of a season in 1990 or 91. And I was the next most senior player in terms of experience. And I automatically was asked to be captain. And of course, we won every single match in that series, and winning the competition for the first time. We clean swept everybody. And so all of a sudden, people look at me as being a great captain.
Right.
Well, certainly I never looked at myself as being a great captain. I just saw myself as an individual who had the ability to interact with all the players, try to get to understand them and get them to work together.
Right.
And that's was my modus operandi.
Right.
To get the guys to work together. And we did very, very well. We played like a unit. Everybody had a role to play. And it wasn't a situation where the captain dictated what was going to happen. Everybody had to make a contribution. And we did very well. And then towards the end of that year, I got a call because I think Sir Viv retired. And then so they were looking for a new captain. Desmond Haynes was the vice captain for the West Indies. So obviously we all thought that Desmond Haynes naturally was going to be the captain. And then I got a call from the West Indies Cricket Board. Asked me if I would like to be captain. I said, but what happened to Desi? Desi was my roommate at the time, and we all loved Desi, and we just expected him to be captain. So I said, what happened to Desi? They said, no, they want to invest in the future and they want a younger captain and blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, I never really thought of it, but let me speak to my manager and get back to you guys. So I called my manager in Antigua and he said, look, that's a great honor.
Right.
Not many people get the opportunity to captain their country, so you have to accept it. I know you and Desi are close, but I'm sure he will understand.
Right.
And so when they called me back, I said yes. So of course it was a massive, massive shoe to fill.
Right.
So Vivian Richards, the most successful captain in the history of West Indies cricket.
Yes.
And now this little boy from Five Islands has got to walk in those shoes. So it was a lot of pressure for me. But what I did, look, like most things in life for me, I like challenges. And I decided, well, look, I've accepted the job and I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to do whatever I have to do, whatever it takes to continue the successful trend of West Indies cricket. And of course, yes, we had some good players and we lost some really quality players at the time.
Right.
And when I became captain, the first thing I said to the players, look, we have lost some great players like Gordon Greenidge, Vivian Richards, Malcolm Marshall, Jeffrey Dushan. But we might not be as great on paper, but if we play as a unit, we can still achieve great things. And that was my first chat to the team. And then we continue to do well. We continue to be successful. And but it wasn't easy because managing or captaining players from different islands, different cultures, different backgrounds is not the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
But I tried my best. It took away a lot from my personal game because before I was captain, I was averaging over 15 tests.
Right.
And my ambition was to remain over 50 at retirement. But there was so much burden for me. I did not have enough time. I couldn't find enough time to focus on my own personal development. And because of the sort of person that I was always looking out for the next person. I was always looking out for the other player. Right. And a matter of fact, I'll tell you a story. When I retired, I knew I scored 16 test century, and I was trying to reflect and go through them, and I keep getting 15. I just could not get 16, and I was worried. I said, "Am I right?" But then the books are saying I had 16, and I started reflecting, and then my 16th test century was with a guy young guy who had some problems because he was in the team, wasn't getting centuries. He was very ambitious, wanted to score runs, and causing a little disruption within the team because of that.
Right.
And I sat him down, and I had a go at him. I was pretty angry with him because we are a team. Right. It's not about self. As much as we all want to do well, the team comes first. Right. And I said to him, if you forget about yourself and focus on what the team requires, you will get what you want. You will get what you want. You'll get your century. And it just so happened that particular match, we were batting together. Right. And he scored his first century. Wow. Right? I scored a century as well, and I never remembered that century because I was focusing on him. And wanting him to get his first century. Right. He ended up scoring 277, so you should know who that person is. Right? And just me, if I were to live my career over again, I probably will be a little bit more selfish in the sense that I would find time to focus more on myself and stop giving so much to others. Right. Not that I wouldn't give to others, but then I would have preserved my career a bit longer. Right. I would have probably been a bit more successful. When I retired and I was ready to retire, people were saying, you're too young to retire. Right. But they did not know what I was going through. Right. It was a struggle for me to continue. I was waking up in the mornings and I'm saying, wow, cricket again? And when that happens, it's time to pack it up. It's time to make a move. I was training harder at the time that any time throughout my career because I wanted to be there. I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to play for the West Indies. But I just could not put it out because I was tired, I was burnt out, and I was ready to move on.
It happens. And it's funny, you talk about all these talented people. In this day and age, the term they use for it is super teams, right? You see these basketball teams, these soccer teams, and they bring everybody in and we say, oh, they built a super team. But when I think about it, some older than you, some younger, but when you think about the Dushan era, you think about even super teams with yourself, Sir Curly Ambrose, Courtney Walsh, Brian Lara, right? Masses talent out of this world, but also egos out of this world, I'm sure, right? Give me an idea of what that feeling is like we're playing on a team like that. Oftentimes people are in positions where they're the man and it's just a supporting cast. But we have a super team where everybody is equally. Maybe you haven't achieved that success yet, but you can see it in them. What was that environment, especially locker room environment at that time, having so many talented people and as addition, so many egos in that room?
Well, it's not easy, because egos can be destructive when you're talking about a team setting.
Right.
So whoever's in control now has to find a method to manage all these egos and to be able to get the best out of every single individual. Now, that is not an easy task.
Right,
and I believe Clive Lloyd did that very well.
Right.
That team was probably the best team that ever played Test cricket. Clive Lloyd had his problems, but he was able to manage all the players, sort things out. If he had to pull players up, he's going to pull them up. But that player is still always going to respect him. He's the leader, and it's all about the team. So it's not an easy task, but some people are blessed with that ability to be able to identify that these different egos require special management. And that's what it's all about, because you can't expect me and you to be the same.
Right.
All right? And not because you might be different means that I'm not going to play you. All right? You've got the talent, you can do it. You might be a bit disruptive, you might not like this player, whatever, but you have to find a way to manage that person and get that person to fit in and get the other players to fit in and also understand that player. And if there's an understanding amongst everyone, then you'll be able to produce at the maximum.
Amazing. In most other sports, you have the management, of course, ownership and management, and then you have the coaches, and you have the captains and stuff like that. But when it comes to cricket, especially the West Indies